Hello, everybody. Welcome to our little ball of mud. This is Sat Khalsa and Cyril Kuhn. Am I pronouncing the last name okay?
Well, kind of. I mean, it's a Swiss, a Germanic name, so it would be Kuhn. In Swiss Germany, Kuhn, but it's Kuhn is fine.
Kuhn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What to say about Cyril that we're so excited about, because he's an internationally known artist and his family is like really well known as artists in Europe. And so we always love the international implications in our show. And Cyril, how do you do? Happy to know you. Happy to have you on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. Yes.
and we're out in your studio, aren't we?
Yeah. I have a studio. I don't know. I'm gonna try to move this computer a little bit.
Okay.
It's in a garden, basically. Let's see.
Oh, nice.
It's because it's not really an entire building. It's like it has a few walls, but it's open basically.
Well, you have a space that you can do your thing in.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
What is your latest piece of work that you just completed? Anything that you can show us?
Yeah, this one. It's this one. I can show you several paintings. Yeah. So.
But this is your latest?
Yeah, that's my latest painting.
Okay.
It's a smaller piece. I've been making these paintings now. This is the third one. I had this black house paint, exterior glossy house paint laying around in my studio. I made these small. Oh, I can show this too. I made these small little weird wood pieces with it.
Oh, wow.
Black. And then
oh my God.
Because the kids in our family wanted me to do portraits of the cat. Then I took it a little further and I started treating canvases like this, because I noticed that you could use this other house paint. Maybe your viewers are familiar with the household primer Kills. Very nice.
Yes.
Very interesting product.
It's very universally known, that product. Yes.
Cheap and it covers well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I basically use Kills as snow in these paintings.
Nice.
And I use very bad foam brushes. And not so much in this one, but in one other one I'll show you later, there's like a snow effect that's really good that you can do with this, which I was kind of excited about. But it's part of this series. I started in the pandemic. I basically did virtual or like studio dreaming and travel as escapism, and I made this series of Japanese themed paintings. Of some of them have me in it, and I'm in different locations in Japan. And I make these paintings that are figurative and somewhat abstracted but recognizable, but also they're loose associations. For me, a successful painting means someone can look at it, and I have my ideas, of course, and I brought my biography and history in it, but you may look at it and see something completely different. And that's great. If you can do that, I'm very, very happy. I don't want to lead you with a hammer behind your head and say, this is what you have to see.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want you to see, there needs to be room for you to see.
Well, you used to be a bouncer, so people will probably do exactly what you tell them to.
You're drunk and
so tell me something. I have a few questions. Okay.
Yes.
I know that you're from Switzerland.
Yes.
And what was it like growing up there? I mean, you were growing up after the Second World War. You were
Yes,
born in what year?
I was born 1970,
Okay.
well after the Second World War. I would say though that in some ways the Second World War still factored into my family history, particularly mine, because
Okay.
both my grandmothers were German. One of them is a German Jew, and we lost pretty much most of that, you know.
Yeah.
And there were also some painful things about how Switzerland dealt with Jewish people. And my other grandmother was a German. And yeah, there's some things about that too. So
Mm.
my life was kind of affected by the Second World War still.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine how it couldn't be,
Yeah, no, it's true. But I mean, at the same time, Switzerland is a great country to grow up as a child because it's very, it's a system that really works. It's very beautiful, safe, healthy, nice. You know, there is if a country is so small, they can have a sense of more democracy and equilibrium and
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
distribution. And as a kid, you're very safe. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
a 5, 6, 7-year-old, you can walk around in the city by yourself, even though it's the biggest city in Switzerland, and you can have a beautiful childhood. And I
That's a
think
wonderful
problems
thing.
kind of start uh, coming for some people when you. Oh, this was somewhat scrambled. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, that's okay. I
Okay,
think
what did you say?
it's just part of the Zoom life.
Yeah,
Everybody just needs to sit back and wait until the Zoom does what it's got to do.
yeah.
Um, my other question, I think, was what brought you over to America? Because now you're living and working here in America.
Yeah,
And
I became an American citizen.
did you?
I did a long time ago.
For what purpose, if I might
Well,
ask?
I wanted to leave Switzerland when I was fairly young. I wanted to leave when I was 20 for some invalid, juvenile, but also for some valid reasons at the same time.
Okay.
And I really wanted to immigrate to another country. In fact, the first country I chose in my idiotic juvenile wisdom was Japan. And I went there when I was 20, and I figured out that that was, even though very exciting, not a good choice for a country to immigrate to.
Did you live there for a while?
I went there for 3 months. I had some
Okay.
money saved and I went there, and
Okay.
it was crazy and exciting and alienating. And then I wanted to go to a country where I knew that you could immigrate to, which was America. And I chose the West Coast, particularly because it's also the furthest away from Europe and very different, and also kind of close to Asia. It's kind of a compromise in some ways. It has a window to Asia. So
I kind of have a relationship with artists because my brother-in-law was a famous artist here in Arizona. His name was Don Ruffin. And his life growing up as an artist was very difficult because his father didn't thought it was very girlish to be an artist. And so he, put up every roadblock possible for his son to go down the manly route, if you understand what I'm saying. And was your growing up period encouraging your artistry, your talents when you were growing up?
um, I unfortunately, the Zoom gods were strikingly. What was the major? What was he found it difficult to grow up as an artist? What were you saying?
Because of negative parental inspiration, and I'm wondering how yours was. Were you inspired by your parents?
Of course, because my grandparents, I lived with my grandparents and my parents, and they're all artists. My grandfather was a painter. My grandmother was a textile artist. My mother is a painter, and my father is a journalist and writer. So yeah, for me, that was not the issue. The issue was Switzerland as a very uptight, very functional, but very unfree society. But my parents were, for most parts, of course, there's always some kind of rebellion that happens with your parents. For me, it was probably more kind of a seeking of I don't know, it's hard to describe, a ruffian working class persona that I also wanted and was interested in, that I might have only shared with my grandfather. But the art part was very good. And, they didn't. Also, I didn't want to become a painter for a long time. I started being a painter maybe 15 years ago or so.
Ah, and what'd you do before that?
I studied film at Cal Arts, and I was a film maker for a short period. Okay. And for that, I was just doing all kinds of things. Yeah, I was a bouncer when I was 17 already, because I got recruited from a boxing gym. Yeah, it's nice. I understand. I mean, I think a lot of artists have to struggle with this, and that's a important part. I didn't have that. There's a fewer of us people that come from artist lineages or families, and that's probably a little different. You have to fight too. You have to kind of carve your own art. I mean, we had a family show a few years ago in Switzerland, and I think it's very interesting. We're all very different. There's similarities, but they're very, very, very different people from different generations with different ideas and different ways that we became painters. My mother and my grandfather, they're very traditionally educated painters, and it shows. Whereas I am more of an autodidactical painter in some ways.
Describe what that means.
Well, I didn't go to an art school for learning painting.
Okay.
I learned it from my mother in some ways by spending a lot of time in her studio, and she helped me in some ways. But I'm interested in a form of painting where people figure out what they want to paint. That's the most important, to have something that you want to offer up, and then you learn how to paint that. And you don't necessarily know how to paint everything, like you have a complete toolbox and you're like, just offer it up, like you gotta work on these things. I mean, it happens always, I think, with painters, because we work on a subject and we're getting good at that. It's repetition and all the tedious work that you never see. Like, when you see a Hollywood movie about a painter, there's an empty canvas, because the filmmakers are very jealous of this idea of the painter. They do the same with music too. And then the genius comes, and then you hear some scratching of the canvas, and then you have an amazing masterpiece. That is not what happens at all. There's lots of work where people paint every day and figure stuff out and have a lot of catastrophic like things and backlashes, and something works but not quite, and then they do it again and they do it again and different, and you know, it's like a chain reaction, a long-winded chain reaction of things, and that's painting. And the other thing,
what didn't Michelangelo say something about painting and art being constantly correcting your mistakes?
right? Well, and finding the good mistakes. There are good mistakes. There are. It's true.
Does it lead you down a spiritual path? Are there moments of epiphany? This is the Zoom happening right now, folks, so bear with us.
Yeah.
We're here with Cyril Kuhn, and he's an artist from Switzerland. He's also married to kind of my niece, Michaela, from Monkey Pants. Are we back? I can see your lips moving, but I can't hear you. Try it again.
But now you can hear me, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Great. You know, I switched network. Maybe this is better.
Well, let's hope so. My feeling was, does painting as you do and doing artwork as you do, and you work in more than just one medium, I know that.
Right.
Does it lead you down any kind of a spiritual path where you have epiphanies and like, oh my goodness, you know, and you look up and say, thank you for that one? And
well, I think yes and no. I think because it's very introspective, and you know, in meditation, it does do that. However, I'm a very philosophically skeptical person, probably because of my, you know, because of my heritage of like part of my people being eradicated for no reason whatsoever.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And for being an outcast to a certain degree, and being very skeptical of organized religion. I met some people, religious people that I liked, that I thought had authentic enlightenment and philosophical, but I never found an organized religion where I thought that was held to a good standard or being represented. And for me, so I think I wouldn't say I'm not an atheist, I'm agnostic. You know, I feel like there are higher powers. We just don't have the capacity to understand them. And I'm not sure if I'm interested in this. I am very interested in, I think there is more. We are, especially in our very materialistic society, we have a void that needs to be filled, you know, and I applaud anyone that finds a good way of doing this. Nature is a big part of this, and I think painting is too. And
oh, I do too.
For me, one thing that leads to is, which is a weird thought that I have often lately, is, and that's a very difficult, it's maybe less difficult for me than for other people. I think it's more difficult for very successful artists and very successful people. And it's the thought of the idea of our growth, you know, anything we do economically in almost on any level as humans is growth based more. In order for it to make sense, you have to make more money, you have to have more land, you have to, everything is growth based. That is not sustainable. That is the wrong idea. It's totally wrong on any level. Not true, not more. We don't need more.
It's hard on the earth.
It's hard on the earth. It's hard on
Mhm.
our kids. It's hard on
Mhm.
anyone. It's a horrible idea, but it's something that is so inherent.
And so ingrained.
Ingrained. It's very hard. And
Yeah.
what does that mean for you as an artist? You know, because that is one of the major issues. I think we as artists, we're always the most, as a community, we're the most progressive people. You know, we're the forefront. We think about things very differently, and supposedly we're the politically most progressive outliers. But a lot of people in our community do exactly the same. They produce giant paintings for, you know, very wealthy people and are part of this well-oiled machine of, and I don't think that's right. I think for me, it's easy to say I'm not part of that machine, really. You know, I'm a tiny part of a very low grade of that. But I think that is something that I don't aspire to, or one has to find alternative models. And what are they? I don't entirely know. You know, it's like, I liked how my grandfather was a painter. And that is something that people like your friend that didn't grow up with this, they probably never saw this, you know, because he was from a generation. Nowadays, you can be an art. A lot of people want to be artists because you can be an artist and it can be a mixture of being a pop star and a banker. You have a lot of money and you're really cool and people really know you.
And you're dealing very much in the money world.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, you know, when my grandfather was a painter, most people didn't really care. Nobody thought it was really cool that he was a painter. And the reason he was a painter is because if you would see photos of where he was raised and how he grew up, it could be Appalachia. You know, it was a huge family, lived on a river, and he fished. He didn't go to school. He had to work and fish and tend cattle. And somehow his sister saved up money and sent him to an art school. And his life, he wanted to fish, he wanted to hunt, and he wanted to garden, and he wanted to paint.
Wow.
And that he got to do that every day. So he was a very, very happy man.
He found his way. That's what this is about.
And he found his way, and it was really great, you know.
We have for you. This is for Cyril.
Oh, great.
What size do you take?
Large or X large?
Large or extra large? Okay. Well, these go large.
Okay.
Okay. And so I'll send you a large, and if it doesn't work, well, then we can exchange.
Great. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. I'll mail that over to you.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Show me now a couple of your other, I know you work in other mediums. Is it all, it's not all painting, right?
No, it's not. Well, you know what, should I show you? I'll show you a few paintings and then I'll show you some monotypes too.
Okay,
yeah?
Go.
Okay.
This is where you do that. Look at that huge painting with that little kitty catty.
Let's see this one.
Wow.
Okay, so this is the bigger piece. And this is what I was talking about, this, you know, this snow thing. Maybe I'll turn it around a little bit. The light is not so good.
It's okay. It's okay. I liked it the other way. Straight on was good.
Oh, you liked it the other way?
There you go.
Yeah,
You
it's a self-portrait, but it's, you know,
This is you in your workspace.
it's a Japanese version of my workspace. Yeah. You know what? I'll just go back here with it. This is a pretty big piece.
Of the kitty cat.
Yeah, well, I took the kitty cat to kind of an extreme here.
I like the Medusa too. Is that a Medusa?
One of my Japanese paintings right here.
Okay. Well, so Japan definitely had an influence on you, didn't it?
Well, it's kind of a series I'm doing right now. Well, you know what? I'll show you this big painting. That's an older piece, but I had it in a show just recently, and I like it. I think it's one of my good pieces.
Now I know you sell online too, right? Oh my goodness. Would this place be in France?
Yes, it's a Versailles.
It's Versailles, yeah.
Yes, it's Versailles, but there's like
Uh-huh.
a boxing match unfolding.
And so how would you interpret that, the boxing match?
Well,
Is it political?
not really. I mean, I just like painting boxing, but it's, you know, boxing.
Because you were a boxer.
I like to box, yeah, and
Yeah.
boxing is it's such a sport of the really extreme underclass. You have to be so tough and kind of fearless and have nothing to lose in order to be really good at it.
Mhm.
There's no people from box. There's almost nobody that comes from like an upper or middle class in boxing.
Right.
But it's very class. It used to be, you know, it used to be the most important sport in America, boxing. It's not anymore.
It did.
For
When
many
I was growing up, everybody.
it's not. People like their violence a little more sanitized these days, I would say.
Mhm.
And it's maybe, but it's an exciting thing. It's like, it needs to be in a palace or something like that. I don't know. But this is my setup for my monotypes. I have this printing press. Can you see this?
Yes, I can.
So I paint on a metal plate,
Okay.
and then I let it through this press. I have to put it through the press, and then it gets indented into paper that I put on top. And then if you get something like this.
Oh, wow.
The thing with this is, and what I like about it is, my mother does this too. The technique is called monotypes because you only get one print. You can ink it up again, but it's not like where you make a plate and then can do literally hundreds or thousands of editions of things. It's always going to be different. And here, because I'm working outside, I have to do it very fast. I literally have only like,
Because it dries so quick.
yes, 10 to 15 minutes.
Mhm.
So there's something very freeing about this. You just go into, okay, done. Then you have this accidental thing that happens with the pressing. You get these kind of bubbles and things kind of smear a little bit, and that can work to your disadvantage or your advantage, and that's exciting, you know.
Take just a moment and give us your contact names and addresses and websites and all those things.
Okay, so I have 2 Instagram accounts where I post the most new stuff. One is more for oil paintings, and that one is my name, Kuhn Cyril, Kuhn Cyril at Instagram. The other one is where I for 2 years, I put every day, I put a new monotype up. I did so many that I could post a new one every day. I kind of slacked a little bit now because I'm doing other stuff.
Okay.
That one is called, I think it's called Monotype Print Daily. Monotype Print Daily, one word, at Instagram.
Okay.
And I have a regular website, but I haven't really updated it much lately. Just it's cyrilkuhn.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm represented by a young gallery here in LA, and they have some stuff up. And their name is Wohnzimmer. It's like Wohnzimmer. It's a German name for living room, but they misspell it.
Bone.
Wohn, WONZIMER, I think they spell it. I'm not sure how they spell it. With 2 M's, I think. But they misspell it. It's supposed to spell completely different.
Living room is
Living
what
room.
it means.
Yes.
Yeah, Wohnzimmer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah.
I lived and worked in Europe for about 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Where did you live? Oh, you lived in Holland, right?
mostly in Holland, yes.
Great.
But some in Germany too.
Yeah.
In Oberstein.
Oh, wow. Where is that? Bavaria?
Yes. It's Oberstein is near Frankfurt.
Uh-huh.
And I was in Baumholder. I don't know if you've ever heard of Baumholder.
I haven't heard of that.
Well, Oberstein was the gem capital of Germany.
Oh, okay.
That city deals mainly in gems, but that's why I knew what the Wohnzimmer was translated into. So most of your sales are here in America, I would assume.
Well, and in Switzerland, I kind of have. I sell stuff in Switzerland too.
No, do you? Are you in a gallery in Switzerland?
No, I might have I'm kind of working on that. I might have a big show in Zurich in the next few years sometime in a really great big space. And I had a small show last year with the monotypes in a really great space of a bookseller that does art, drawings and smaller artworks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, Switzerland is a very good art market to tap into, definitely.
What are your words of wisdom for the humans on our little ball of mud these days?
What I was talking about earlier, you have to look at your life and find a way. Of course, we need our basic needs taken care of. This is probably more for people that are okay with that. You need to find a way to not feed into the idea of just capitalistic growth.
Gotta have
this.
Gotta have
materialistic accumulation. You need to find a way to happiness in another way, like to be more in the moment, with your family, with your friend, lover, spouse, travel, I don't know, whatever it is, farm or surf or box or paint or make interesting philosophical shows,
Gotcha. Yes. Interesting and philosophical choices. I love it. I can't wait to see you again, brother.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I hope you come out soon.
Yes. Well, you almost came out here, right?
We almost did. It was actually planned. And then it didn't happen. But we have done both shows through the Zoom and through my agent, John Hoffman, who's watering outside now, and you can hear him.
I heard
Water.
something. Yeah.
I'm
Hey,
saying,
what is that record behind you? Is that a record with that woman in a red dress standing by the water?
uh-huh.
That's a drawing?
It is a record. John is a musician,
Okay.
and he writes his own music. And I'm going to sign off right now, Cyril,
Okay.
and say goodbye to the sound of water rushing.
Yeah.
And give hugs to Michaela and Little Bit and Big Kid.
We'll do that.
Take care, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for
Sign
the
off.
opportunity. Bye.
Bye.